very survival mode. But we have the chance as human beings to move our brain from this negative state of mind to positive simply by changing where we put our attention. So I'm asking you to put your attention now on two um, two things you were able to achieve in your lifetime, not during COVID specifically. I'm asking you maybe to go way back and to think about two achievements that you are proud of. It could be anything. It could be professionally, it could be personal. But I want you to start thinking of things that you are very proud of, that you are grateful for, and that you are responsible for. That you want to give yourself a pat in the back because you were able to do these two things. Give you a couple of seconds, and then I'm going to share my two shining moments or brilliant spots. Let me see what you are already sharing with me. Claudia is saying that she is happy because she can speak English and because she has been able to raise a family. Wow. Paula says she was able to be a mom and a student at the same time. Wow, Paula, congrats. I know how hard that is. And you finished and you were able to get your degree. So give yourself a pat in the back. Cam Valenzuela says she was able to finish, or he was able to finish the master's degree. Ooh, and buy his or her own apartment. Good for you. Sylvia, she was able to change from face-to-face teaching to the virtual one. Right, so give yourself a pat in the back, okay? So thank you, all of you, for sharing with me your brilliant spots. I was going to share with you the fact that after 42 years in education, I was able to co-found a school in Buenos Aires. This was in 2005. I was able to start a school from scratch. So everything I want to share with you has been proven, tested, done. So I never recommend or suggest activities that I haven't done before, because I know that one of the mistakes that heads make or coordinators make is that they download the theory to teachers and they are not really aware of what it is to be a teacher and to be inside the classroom. So whatever you're going to be seeing today is things I've already done in the classroom. And the other thing I'm very proud of course, is being the mother of these two beautiful, talented adolescents, Juan and Jasmine. I'm really proud of them, and I think that this is the most creative thing you can do, which is raise kids who are going to be good citizens and who are going to be hopefully inspiring other people to teach values and to get along with others. So these are my two proud moments. And we're going to be talking today about why, when, and how we should be putting these brain breaks into practice. Now, first of all, what is a brain break? A brain break is a pause between moments of instruction, moments in which the brain is paying external attention, hopefully an attention that you have decided upon and not unconscious attention, because today we are going to be talking about the kind of selective external attention, the one that you are putting into practice right now, because you're on the other side, because you chose to be here. And this is because we know already, and I'm going to show you all the research, we know already that the brain cannot pay external, sustained attention for too long. So we are going to be seeing how, especially when you are planning virtual lessons, you need to be very aware of the fact that they are very tiresome and that the brain needs small breaks in order to be paying more and more attention. So although today we are going to be together only for an hour, you will notice that every now and then I need to do something to help you focus attention, okay? And these are all the activities I want to share with you today. So this is something you can do at the beginning of a lesson, is tell them or sell them what they are going to be learning and what they will be storing in their heads by the end of the talk. So especially when you're speaking to adolescents who are always wondering, why on earth should I do this? Why is this useful? Tell them at the very beginning, these are the topics we're going to be working with today. And by the end of today's talk, you will be mastering 3 or 4 activities, or you will be doing 3 or 4 activities. So I'm just showing you a picture to start your brain wondering, what are all those pictures about? Or maybe some of you already are spotting them. But basically, I'm preparing you for today. And I hope you don't feel like me in this picture. But basically, when you are in a pandemic, as we are a little bit overwhelmed, and we are experiencing like a roller coaster of emotions, and that's very, very normal and very logical. But today is an invitation for you to try to forget about the world outside. And it's an invitation, as Sherlock Holmes says, to go inside your mind palace. Since we are not allowed to, to go outdoors, well, maybe there's a reason why this thing is happening, this COVID thing is happening globally. Maybe it is a wake-up call for all of us to, okay, let's stop and ponder. What are we needing to change? One of the things I think we all need to change is we need to start understanding a little why we behave the way we behave, why we are experiencing these, kind of different moods. And so today I hope is also a moment for you to block all the other, distractors and focus on your mind palace today. So my first question is, what do you already know? Sorry about the loud music. What do you already know about the topic today? Maybe you've heard about brain breaks, so maybe you already know about them. So take up a couple of seconds. Maybe you've heard it in a talk. What do you already know about brain breaks? I'm gonna check the chat. Claudia says we use them every day. Yes, it has to do with maybe more than breaking the rhythm, it is allowing for more energy, especially when you notice that, attention is dropping, or maybe that some kids are falling asleep in your virtual lesson. It's better if you realize that before it happens. So I would say that when you are having a meeting like me today with adults or adolescents, you need to have a brain break every 15 or 20 minutes. So today we would be okay if I had prepared 2 or 3 brain breaks. But because the talk is about brain breaks, I'm going to give you today 9 or 10 different brain breaks so that you can start using them tomorrow. Okay? If you're teaching primary school or pre-básica, then you need to have more brain breaks. So age is important here, chronological age. So there is a kind of a rule of thumb that says that you need to add 2 minutes to the chronological age. So if you're teaching 5-year-olds, then 5 plus 2, it means that those kids will need a pause or a brain break every 7-8 minutes. So when you are preparing your synchronous lesson, you need to know that you explain a little bit, you stop, you give them a brain break, you go back with your instruction, you stop, another brain break, okay? This is the way it should go. We all need them, of course, we all need them, especially adults who have been working all day, and they also need every now and then to, recover energy, to bring oxygen to your brain again, to recirculate the blood. These are some of the benefits that come from all the brain breaks I'm going to be sharing with you today, okay? And we need to understand right now, because it's the beginning of the talk, the way the brain works, basically. We are in the first topic of the agenda, which was why? Why should we be using brain breaks? So I need to convince you This is a part in which I convince you that we need brain breaks. This is basically a summary of these two systems that work 24/7 and throughout our lives, and they are called, or they are known as, the fast system and the slow system. Now, according to the scientists that you read, you may hear, instead of fast system and slow system, system number 1, system number 2, or it is called also hot system, cold system. But basically, whatever name they use, they are referring to these two huge aspects of our brain. And this is the automatic unconscious brain and the human conscious brain. And what we know now from science is that they overlap continuously. It's not either I think or I feel, but it's like a dance. But there are some things that are more kind of responsibility of the fast system, and there are other activities that are specifically the responsibility of the slow system. What happens when you are in the middle of a pandemic like we are? The fast system is completely gone awry, and this has happened, I don't know, 180 days ago, when we started fighting for our lives. This is a very stressful situation. It's a life and death situation. Therefore, the fast system has been turned on March the 20th and has been releasing adrenaline and cortisol as a stress response to the uncertainty, to the fear that we are all experiencing. And therefore, this is kind of having sad effects on our physiology and our mental state as well. What is it that happens when the fast system kind of kidnaps the slow system? It means that we are so worried about not being in the list of the people who had been getting COVID that it's harder for us to learn anything intellectual. So the slow system is kind of a luxury when we are more worried about surviving than learning the past tense of the regular verbs. So especially when you have to continue teaching people, we need to understand that the people we are teaching are people who are very, very turned on in their fast system, instinctive, emotional, and we need to calm down the nervous system if we want to teach them anything to the cognitive, intellectual, slow system, okay? So how can you relax, or how can you bring down this hyper state of the hot system, or system number 1, or emotional system? This is one idea. This is an idea I found in Facebook, and it's based on Shakespeare. As I was telling you, I was an actress, so I love Shakespeare, and these are all famous paintings of Shakespeare's plays. And we could also entertain ourselves by seeing if we can discover the names of these plays, but we don't have time for that. So I'm going to use it as a brain break, and the brain break here is simply help you to find the relationship between how you feel and how these paintings feel. So as you can see, all these paintings are portraying emotions. My question is, what painting is portraying best your emotion right now? So what I'm asking you is to tell me, I am feeling like painting number 6, painting number 5, and giving you a couple of seconds for you to find which painting is more accurate to your state or your emotional state right now, okay? And of course, I'm going to be checking. Some people are saying number 8, number 3, 5, 4. Oh, we have between 3 and 6, 8 and 7. Okay, I am feeling, oh, number 1 is, this is Ophelia. Ophelia is drowning in, so, okay. If you're feeling like Ophelia, I don't think there's anything I can do, because it seems quite kind of the end of it. But I'll do my best, I promise. The idea here is to include emotions in your talks whenever you can. We need to start people understanding that it is okay to talk about how we feel. Why? Let me go back. Because there is a very strong relationship between how you feel and how you think. So if you feel like, number one, if you feel too uncertain, too sad, too afraid, well, then it's going to be hard for the slow system to work correctly. Why? Because the fast system is requiring a lot of oxygen, a lot of blood to respond to the stress responses. So how we feel is very tightly connected to how we think. This is why I'm starting by bringing you to shiny thoughts like 2 things you were able to achieve during a lifetime. So I'm trying to take your mind out of your worries and bringing your mind into things you were able to achieve throughout your lifetime, okay? Talk about emotions. And if you want to know more about this, this is the webpage I highly recommend. It's called CASEL. And CASEL has been going on for like 15 or 20 years. And it is a webpage where you can find a lot of programs that are, of course, free, so that you can download what CASEL is very well known for. And this is working on social emotional learning for schools. So I went into this website to check what they were saying about pandemics and what we should be doing now to continue teaching the different topics or subjects we need to teach, but taking into account that the entire world is with a backdrop of a tragedy. So this is what I found in the CASEL website. Apparently, when we are preparing virtual lessons, we should, yes or yes, include always a welcoming activity, always throughout the talk. It doesn't matter if your lesson is 20 minutes long or 3 hours long. The webinar could be 3 hours long. You always need to include engaging strategies. For example, people who are able to express themselves either through the chat or turn on the mic, or at least you provide activities that the other people can do, even if you don't see them, like me today. And yes or yes, in your lesson, you need to include some kind of rounding off positively. So if you want to know more about this, because I can't go further into it, go to CASEL, which is the page that you're going to find thousands of ideas to start including social emotional learning in your classroom. Why am I saying this? Because obviously during this quarantine, although we are all experiencing this global pandemic, some people are, how can I put this? Some people are suffering less. And it doesn't have to do with their status, their economic status. It doesn't necessarily have to do with their having a job or not. It has to do with how they choose to go through this quarantine. So we are noticing that people who are more in touch with there's already research on this, people who are more in touch with their emotional state and who know how to achieve well-being are suffering less this quarantine. So go to CASEL and you will find much more, because I'm summarizing like mad in order to give you all these ideas. This quarantine is, if you could see it this way, this quarantine is also a huge possibility of rewiring our brain. So instead of thinking every day, I just wish this could be over with, start changing this mental pattern into, okay, how can I make the most of this crazy time in which I am supposed to be at home, and to change my routines completely. So this is the possibility of changing the way we see education as well, and rewiring our brain by understanding better why we feel the way we feel, why we should change some of our thoughts, and why we should change the way we get along with people. Now, I need to convince you on why brain breaks are important. So I'm here including, of course, the research. So here you have some of the reasons why we should be doing Yeah, having a more adaptive mindset. Thank you, Casey. Okay. These are some of the reasons why we know, and this is what I've been doing like, I don't know, for 10 years now. And these are some of the things you realize when you put brain breaks into practice. The first thing is that you will feel better. You will notice that. You will be less tired if your lesson is organic. And organic means talk a little bit, stop a little, talk a little bit, stop a little bit. Yes? Now, I'm going to show you more research right now, but everything I'm going to show you now, you need to explain to students, regardless of their age, teach them why you're including brain breaks. Because otherwise, kids notice that, I don't know, overnight, you've been transformed into a very resourceful teacher who has music and movement and jokes, and kids or adults are wondering, what on earth happened to this teacher? Suddenly now we are having all this, this variety of activities. Oh yes, well, you will see how she or he finally goes back to his usual self. You need to explain to them why you're doing this. And the reason, at least from my point of view, is neuroscience. I know that with music, with movement, and with humor, there are more chances that the learning will be memorable. So this is the teacher in secondary school, as you can see her in the slide, teaching kids why we should include brain breaks. And then you can see a poster of how kids are summarizing why we should do brain breaks. And some of the brain breaks can simply be well-being practices. You could use a brain break to teach them a breathing exercise, or you could use a brain break to teach them how to meditate. I'm going to show you that right now. So you need to go here to the Edutopia webpage, Edutopia. And when you go there, you're going to find this other option called Meditopia. And Meditopia is a very simple, as you can see, very simple app for you to start using in your virtual classroom for all kinds of ages. You can do this with kindergarten, primary, all kinds of ages, okay? So I hope you do this with me right now. This is next time you are feeling overwhelmed, next time your kids are in a bad temper, or they are having a fit, or they are, I don't know, undergoing a panic attack. This is an activity that is thought to calm down your nervous system. All you need to do is to take 10 deep breaths. I don't have time for that, but let's try to do at least 2. This is how it works. You need to follow the different sounds, and that will guide you into breathing in through your nose, hold it, and breathing out through your nose, okay? So we are going to inhale now. We are going to hold it. And we are going to exhale through our nose. Inhale. Exhale. One more. Breathe in. Breathe out. According to science, 10 deep breaths calm down your nervous system, calm down the stress response. So all it takes is for you to put on this app, or without the app, simply breathe in, breathe out. But what I like about this is that all you need to do is follow the sounds. Okay, so this is one thing you can do, especially in your virtual class, because every single person in the world is experiencing chronic stress. Chronic stress means that our brain has gone, hyper 180 days ago, and it has never stopped because COVID has never stopped. Okay, so we need to help people not only to continue this school thing of teaching people content, but also teaching people well-being. How can you feel better in the midst of this crisis? Okay, so there you have one possible activity. When you are planning your brain breaks, it's important for you to keep them handy. So here I'm showing you some ideas of my teachers when we were in the face-to-face classroom. So some teachers had a box and they had all the ideas inside the box of brain breaks. Other teachers had them hanging in the wall. The point is, you need to have those ideas handy. So whenever you notice that somebody's falling asleep, or whenever you notice that you are getting tired, you need to quickly resort to your brain break. It's not a moment to start, surfing the net to get an idea. So have your 10 or 20 brain breaks there. Here, the research, and there's plenty of research. I'm only choosing 3, okay, as to why we need to start including brain breaks in our lesson plans, in our meetings with parents, in our meetings with heads or with teachers or with whoever it is. And everything I'm telling you, I've also told the parents in my school. Teach parents why their kids and themselves need mini breaks when they are studying, for example, okay? So I'm going to show you now a video. And the activity, this is also a video I found in, as you can see there, Edutopia. Sorry, it's not Edi, it's Edutopia. And I'm going to show you this video. And after I show you the video, you're going to have this task to do. I'm going to show you the video, and the activity for you to do is called 2 facts and 1 fib. 2 true things, 2 truths, and 1 lie. So I'm going to show you the clip, and then you are going to write down 2 facts from the video, and you will have to invent something that was not in the video but could have. So the lie has to be a close truth. Let me go show you the video, and then let's see if we can do this together. So let me go with the sound so it doesn't blow you away.
Breaks during the school day aren't just downtime. The research shows that well-timed breaks can increase student productivity, creativity, and social skills. In fact, a groundbreaking 2012 study using brain scans revealed that the brain isn't actually at rest when we take breaks. Instead, it's in default mode, a state where the brain works on other tasks crucial to learning, like making sense of complex information, consolidating memories, and finding novel connections. Without breaks, we simply don't learn as well.
Okay, so I'm giving you the activity that you can do. After you watch a clip, ask your students, okay, what could you get from that clip? And instead of asking the typical question, what did the man in the video say? Tell them to write down 2 facts and to think about something that the voice in off did not say, but almost said. Why? Because this is a fantastic game to do in the virtual classroom. Each student is writing down 2 facts and 1 fib. And then they are going to show you to the camera what they found, the 2 facts and a fib written down in a piece of paper. And the rest of the students have to decide which of those three statements are which 2 of them are true, and which one is false. And they're having a great time trying to discover which is true and which is not. Today, instead of that, I'm going to do another activity. I'm going to show you 2 facts and a fib, and you have to find out which are the 2 facts, which is the fib. Ready? So which is true, which is not true? Just a second. Take your time to see if you can guess. 1. 1. Oh, ¿Quién llama? Abro la puerta, porque si no, no sé. Okay. Right. So, does anybody want to turn on the mic, or do you want to tell me in the chat? The two statements that are true. Okay, so somebody is saying 2 is false. Sandra says 2, 2, 2, 2. Let's see. The brain is at rest when we take breaks. Let us see. Let's go back to the video to check if that is a lie. Okay, let's see. Let's listen to the video once more. Hold on. There we go.
Breaks during the school day aren't just downtime. The research shows that well-timed breaks can increase student productivity, creativity, and social skills. In fact, a groundbreaking 2012 study using brain scans revealed that the brain isn't actually at rest when we take breaks. Instead, it's in default mode, a state where the brain works on other tasks crucial to learning, like making sense of complex information, consolidating memories, and finding novel connections. Without breaks, we simply don't learn as well.
Yes, so you were right, clever people. Okay, so you were right. The brain is not at rest. So these are the kind of things we need to tell parents. It's not that we are just, wasting our time dancing along. When we are dancing along for a purpose, the brain is processing what you were teaching before while they are relaxing, while they are breathing in and breathing out, or while they are moving around during break time. Okay? So very good. Some of you are still answering the questions. Thank you for sharing with me. Now, I continue to why, okay? What kind of breaks should we have? And 3 is a magic number, especially in stories. You know how the 3 little pigs, the 3 wishes, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Brain breaks need to be active, frequent, and social. So whenever you are planning your lessons, they don't have to be those 3 things at the same time, but at least make sure that every now and then the brain break is not individual, but it is done with somebody else, so that on top of having a rest for your brain, you're also developing social skills. Frequent. How frequent depends on the age of your students. Okay, now notice the research. This is interesting. 10-minute lessons. This is the latest research. Okay, this is 2020 research. 10-minute lessons are 19% more effective than 30-minute lessons in small kids. So we need to tell parents it's not a matter of quantity, because parents say, oh, I want the synchronous lesson to be long so that they are busy and working on something and have time to do something else, says the parent. You need to explain to them that it seems to be more effective to have a short synchronous lesson than a long one, according to the research. And for kids, for kindergarten, a 10-minute lesson is more powerful than a 30-minute lesson. If you have to have a 30-minute lesson, then yes or yes, you need to include a brain break. Okay, let's move on. Let's have a brain break. So let's see if we have something in the chat every now and then. If you stop the lesson 5 minutes earlier, they complain. I don't understand what you mean, Monica. If you want to explain a little bit better. Okay, so what's the alphabet game? The alphabet game is a brain break. And it is ideal for young learners who are maybe learning how to spell words, okay? So as you can see, you have the letters of the alphabet in block letters, in like block letters, ¿cómo se dice? Más gruesas, thicker, negrita, in negrita. And then you have underneath those ABC letters, you have the instruction. And this is how it goes. If it says L underneath the letter L, it means that you have to put up your left hand. If it says R, it means you have to put up your right hand. And if it says B, you have to put up both. So this is an interactive alphabet that you can find if you go to Google Images. And in Google Images, you write active alphabet or alphabet with directions, and this will pop up. So how does this go? I am going to spell the letters and at the same time do the movement that is underneath. So I'm going to model A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, R. Okay? Now you do it with me, okay? Let's do the second row all together. Ready, steady. No, not the second row. Let's do something else. Let's spell out a word. We are going to spell out the word brain. This is what kids love. It's like a spelling bee, okay? We are going to spell out the word brain. Ready, steady, go. B, R, A, I, N. Now you can start imagining how fun this can be and why they will want to turn on the camera. Okay, so you can use this with all ages. You can use it with adults. The point here is to relax your brain from paying external attention to content and to simply enjoy naming the letters and moving at the same time. Okay, awesome, so cool. Bueno, Casey asks, is this an eye exam? Why not? This could have a, you know, the double motive. Okay, so that's your brain break there. Let's move on. Now, what you have just done, basically because you were moving, you have just released dopamine into your cortex or thinking brain or cold system, as I was showing you before, which means you have ignited the part of the brain that thinks. So dopamine is one of the most important neurotransmitters there is, and it has to do with your reward system, with the ability to sustain attention, and it also definitely has to do with pleasure. So how can I make my students release dopamine? Dopamine is what the brain needs in order to aid synapses. This is why it is called a neurotransmitter. A neurotransmitter means it is a chemical that helps neurons send information back and forth. So whenever your cognitive system is bathed in dopamine, it means, there are more chances you will understand. The aha moment comes when there is dopamine aiding cognition. These are the 4 fastest ways of releasing dopamine in a brain. And all these things can be done in a virtual class. So when you're moving, your brain is releasing dopamine. When you're socializing, and this is why it is so hard to be under quarantine, because we are missing our social brain. But at least when we have events like this, in which we can communicate with each other, we are in a way making our brain feel happy. Look at the last 2. Optimism, this is what I did at the beginning, helping you focus on the glass half full, let's say, by thinking of things I was able to achieve. And look at the last one, acts of kindness. And I think that every single teacher in the world is experiencing this one now, because we are all helping each other out. We have no clue as to what is the best thing to do. So we are all asking and getting ideas from the peers and from other schools all over the world. So whenever you help out somebody, you immediately get the kick of happiness. This is because helping others turns on your reward system. This is, I give you a present and I feel even better than you. So this is the way the brain works. Why? Because we are social beings. So these are all things you can start doing in a virtual classroom. Find ways, for example, breakout rooms in which they can go and work collaboratively for a while, okay? And the other thing you can do is move. So go to YouTube. In YouTube, type "just dance." And then you're going to find plenty of ideas to release dopamine through movement. Now, because now we are all sitting down and you can only see from the waist up, I had to browse to find choreographies that are for people who are sitting down. And here you have one. So you are invited to follow along with me. And this is for you to release dopamine because I still have 20 minutes to go. Ready, steady, go. Let me bring this down. Ready, steady, go.
Yeah, sure,
so we had to follow the guys. No, it seems silly, but what I've just done without the help of non-invasive technology is I have helped you release dopamine. So these things are too simple, and this is because people think, oh, this is silly. It's not. This is called neuroplasticity, and this is you in charge of your neuroplasticity. So you want to feel better, put this on. What this does is it reduces the levels of adrenaline and cortisol in your blood, and it increases the levels of dopamine, endorphins, oxytocin, all the hormones of well-being. So whenever you feel too sad, too worried, too angry, YouTube, just dance and notice how you feel different afterwards. Okay? Now, very important. Did you notice that I only left it there for a while? This is a rule, a golden rule. I have to say it in Spanish, I'm sorry. But the golden rule, I learned it from a PE teacher and it was in Spanish. And it goes like this. Mátalo antes de que muera. Kill it before it dies on you. Not the child, not the student. Kill the activity before the activity kills interest, attention, and so on. So if I leave this video for too long, what started being, hey, this is exciting, ends up, no hay más, oh, this is boring. So what we know about brain breaks is they shouldn't be too long. They should be exactly the right amount of time before you start getting tired of the brain break, okay? Woo! Many comments in the loses power, exactly, keep it short. There you go. Thank you, Casey, my translator. So let's move on. I'm gonna move on to the next one. Okay, so I hope I've convinced you on the why. Now we are gonna go on the when and the how. So this David Sousa is very, very famous for being a specialist on curriculum, but basically on making lessons memorable. And he has studied what he calls the BEM principle, beginning, end, and middle of a learning experience. And people learn more at the beginning and at the end than they do in the middle. This is called the BEM principle, or the primacy recency effect. Why? Because you remember beginnings of lessons or webinars or meetings because, as it is the first thing that happened with your fresh brain, it's there, primacy. And you remember the end because as it is the last thing that happened, you still have it in your working memory. The problem is what happened in the middle. So, suggestions. We need to plan our lessons taking into account whatever you teach, they will remember beginnings and ends. It doesn't matter how long your webinar is or your lesson is. The brain remembers beginnings and ends and agonizes in the middle. So you need to do something in the middle to bring up the level of energy. And I'm going to show you with you some of the things you need to do at the beginning and at the end. Okay, so I'm going to share some very specific ideas. Ideas for beginnings of webinars or virtual lessons, of synchronous lessons. Start talking about good news. Ask your students, regardless of their age, hey, okay, what can you share with me that happened since the last time I had a lesson with you? Good news, either at home, in your neighborhood, in your city, in your country, in the world. Why? Because this is what the brain remembers. And remember, we are in the middle of a pandemic. So we need to empower our students to change their emotional states. And we can help them by focusing on the good news. Good news don't sell. There is a very old saying that says, if it bleeds, it leads. So anything that is tragic and there's a lot of blood involved, you will see that in the news. But you will not see the other side of the pandemic, all the people and solidarity and so on and so forth. You bring it in. Good news. Start your lessons with a circle time. I know they can't sit in a circle right now, but the concept of the circle time. Okay, something that you remember from last lesson, something you think we should revise, talk about how you feel, something that you are worried about. Bring the idea of the circle time even to this little space. I did it with you today twice. When I asked you at the beginning, 2 things you are proud of, and when I showed you the plays, the Shakespeare images, and you had to think about, I feel like, okay? The KWL chart, ideal for beginning. So today we're going to be talking about brain breaks. The first thing I asked you was, what do you know about brain breaks? The other thing I could ask you is, what do you want to know? I didn't, I'm sorry. And the L stands for what I learned. You could do this in the virtual classroom also. Why? Because there is a way of having the screen and writing down in the screen, okay? What I know about the topic, what I want to know about the topic, and at the end, what I learned. Take a photo of this and send it to parents so that they know, oh, look at all the things they learned. Okay, now, here, as you can see, they were talking about the vet. In the column of the no, the kids already knew, I know that the vet can be a man or a woman. Yes, I know that the vet takes care of animals. You can't see it here, but the column of what I want to learn was so long that I couldn't fit it into the picture. So ask your students, what do you want to learn about stuff? They are curious and they are motivated. The problem is when we decide everything for them and when we prepare lessons that have no room for their own curiosity. What should we be doing in the middle? Bring up the levels of energy, either by telling them, okay, have a sip of water, or you have 5 minutes to go to the bathroom, or when I have a long webinar, when I am conducting a long webinar, I give them 15 minutes in the middle for them to do whatever they want. If they want to have a short nap, whatever. So you need to include rest and hydration in the webinar. Brain break. You don't have time to do it. I ran out of time and I have so many things to tell you. But please write this one down so that you can do it. The ideal thing of having kids in their homes is that you can ask them to go on a scavenger hunt. So you could tell them, okay, everyone, now you have 5 minutes to get up and look for something round, something green, and a photograph. Ready, steady, go. So everybody has to look in the kitchen, in the bedroom, wherever. And this is another excuse for them to turn on the camera. Because the fun thing afterwards is to show things out. And then everybody comes and brings, okay, show me the photograph. Okay? So this can be a brain break. This can also be a brain break. Bring an image that can draw attention, and it is ideal to use in the virtual lesson. In the middle, when people are dropping out, put a significant image. For example, how many famous people can you find in this picture? I'm going to turn on the light. So an image can be also a brain break. Hey, Einstein, qué bueno. Oh, Casey's giving you all kinds of ideas. Thank you, Casey. Okay, you could do this, or you could have find or spot the mistakes. That could also be a brain break. A brain break from what? From paying external attention to content, because that requires a lot of energy, and you need to recover energy.
Lucrecia, we lost your audio. Sorry. Maybe you need to plug in your headphones again, or unplug them and plug them.
Odd. Thank you, Casey. Can you listen to me now?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
You see that the technology for me is a real mystery. Let me go back to my presentation. Ooh, thank God you told me that, because it was very important for me to be heard here. Now, so I sent parents 2 Spotify lists. One with music to calm down the nervous system. This is Baroque music, classic music, how do you call this? Music of nature, blah, 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 with no lyrics. So this is for parents to put in the background while kids are studying or while they are cooking, whatever. But I also send them this Spotify list with music to uplift. And what I chose here is 3 songs that were written way before COVID and that are now very, very updated. Let's see if you can find the fun in them. Police. Let me go with, okay. Don't stand so close to me. You have to be distancia social, 1.5 meters, okay? Now, the police didn't know that they were creating a hit 30 years ago. Another all by myself anymore. I'm fed up. I want to be left loose. And of course, my favorite ever, and which is the one I started. Now, remember, music is the fastest way to create an emotional state. So whether you need the music to calm yourself down or you need the music to, prep yourself up, let's start teaching people that music can really heal us, okay? So thanks for coming, Carolina. Okay, so some people are saying bye-bye. Oh my God, I have to hurry up. Yes. Thank you for being there. Whenever you're playing music, we can now see in the non-invasive like PET or scans technology, we can see that the entire brain is activated. So this is why we should use music. And in the end, I have to skip this. In the end, remember, people remember ends and beginnings. So what can we do in the end? In the end, make them recap. Before they leave the room, make them recap. Go to Google and write down exit cards. And things like this will appear. So your students can choose. I am going to summarize today's talk by writing one sentence, or I am going to summarize it by asking two questions. Why? Because the brain remembers beginnings and ends. So you need to repeat and revise and recap. So when the lesson is over, people remember something of what you said. One of the latest studies on memory says that 2 hours after the learning, which means today at 8 p.m., you will remember less than 20% of today's lesson. Unless I ask you to do this. So you have to summarize again, write it down again, and in one way, repeating what you have learned. Another activity is this. This is also a brain break. It's called the traffic light. It could be intrapersonal. So far, I've been talking for an hour. How do you feel? Do you have a question? Is there anything that you're ready to put into practice from what I said today? Okay, so I'm going to put okay. I know this is you, you're dead there because an hour has passed. I'm getting there, I promise. I only need a couple of minutes. I've already given you very practical tips, but let's finish with, how can you help your students feel better? Not only learn content. I gave you an activity today that had to do with breathing. And this is to explain to people that it's not a waste of time. It's exactly the opposite. Happiness is a strong predictor of productivity as well. It's not only about, feeling nice. No, when you feel well, you're more productive, which is why a lot of companies are offering their employees yoga lessons, or they are offering them spas, not because suddenly the CEOs have turned very kind people. It's because they know that when people feel well, they produce more. So other things you can do, not only the activity I show you of breathing, only with your hand. As you can see, you don't need to spend money, or you don't need a big budget to do all my brain breaks, okay? So you need a hand. You need the finger of another hand. And you can ask your students, regardless of their age, to trace your hand. And when you go up the finger, you breathe in. Hold. And when you go down the finger, you breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. And you go on your own. Before a test, before an exam, ask students to check how they feel and to bring down their levels of anxiety by doing both hands. Okay? I'm getting there. This can also be a brain break. Just show them images, in this case, of beautiful people. But it could also be just an image for them to ponder about. I'm not going to say anything, but let's see if you can understand what's going on here. These are all famous paintings. Okay? And they are in the friends in Monica's apartment. Very good for the one who spotted that. And Why do you think that Mona Lisa and Frida Kahlo can just hang out there? Because the museums are closed. So you could use as a brain break a striking image and just leave people thinking, okay? Let me move on because I'm using all my time. So I'm finishing, I promise. Let's recap to see what you remember after this hour together. Let's see what it says here. Great image, special woman. Yeah, they're all special. So this is another thing you can do every now and then to check that people are with you and that they are storing, they are putting away what they are learning. True and false. So let's see how much you remember from today. If the statement is true, you're going to do, yay! If the statement is false, you're going to go, boo. Okay, let's practice. It's true, yay! It's false, boo. Brain breaks relieve stress. What do you think about that one? Yay! It's true. Oh, nothing is working today. The brain is at rest when we take breaks. What do you think of that one? Is the brain at rest when you are running or playing? Boo! Yeah, it's false. We had a little talk about this today. Brain breaks need to be frequent. Yeah! We remember every part of the lesson, beginning, middle, end. Boo! Finally, movement activates dopamine release. When we move, we release dopamine and there are more chances of, I understood. Yes. So this is another thing you can do in the virtual class. True and false, but not writing it down, with the body, okay? And finally, I promise, again, a magic number 3. Brain breaks can be used to energize, to revise material, or to calm down. These are the brain breaks we did today. And because I have no time, I'm sorry. These are the columns. So we did some of these brain breaks were to bring up the energy. For example, Just Dance, in which we had to dance, and the alphabet game. Then we had some brain breaks to revise and recap, like true and false, like the one that had to do with watching the video and 2 facts and a fib. And also we had some brain breaks that were to calm down, like the breathing in and breathing out, like the hand, like Shakespeare. So now it's the end, and we are going to say this together because we need to end with an optimistic note. The optimistic note is this wonderful You Matter manifesto that I came across a couple of years ago when I met Angela Myers. Angela Myers is a specialist in well-being and, let's say, well-being for teachers. So I hope all of you on the other side of the screen can read it aloud with me. Mwah. This is for you teachers. You are enough. You have influence. You are a genius. You have a contribution to make. You have a gift that others need. Your actions define your impact. You are the change. You matter. Even when you feel that it's not worthwhile, you are enough. Even if you don't come to this talk, you are enough. You are a hero. You are doing things you never thought you were capable of. So thank you for sharing this hour for me. And please remember, you are enough. I'm going to stop sharing the screen to see what Casey has to say. Hey, thank you. A lot of people think wonderful thing. Mwah. Thank you, lovely people. I miss going to Chile. Casey.
Hello, hello.
I'm sorry that I couldn't finish exactly on time,
No, no worries, no worries.
but you have the Q&R and all the things.
Felipe is going to be handling some of the questions. If anyone else has a question in the chat box, we would be happy to give that to you. There's one right there.
Yeah, we have two questions. One of them says, how do we organize and plan our brain breaks based on our lesson content?
Great. So when you're planning your lesson content, you need to think about what's the objective of the lesson. If the objective of the lesson is a teaching point, especially if the objective is a teaching point, you need to plan your lesson, your brain breaks, okay? Now, maybe your objective that day is recapping. Even if you're recapping, you need to include brain breaks. And the way it goes is plan the piece or the 15 minutes or the 20 minutes of your teaching point. And after those 15 minutes or 20 minutes, write down brain break. And when you're planning your brain break, remember, it could be to calm down. It could be to bring up the energy. It could be to recap what you have already taught. And one of the questions I saw there in the chat, brain breaks don't have to be related necessarily to what you're teaching. As I showed you today, the brain break can be an ABC, the brain break can be Tom Cruise, the brain break can be anything that gives your brain a little rest. And remember, it's not falling asleep. When it is resting, this is called the default mode. When it is in the default mode, the brain is analyzing, comparing, contrasting, sending to long-term memory. So it's not a waste of time. So in your lesson plan, you should include those teaching points. And if your lesson, if your lesson is an hour long and you are teaching adolescents, maybe you will have to include 2 brain breaks, but it depends on the age.
I think that leads into the next question, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I think that leads into the next question.
Which is?
You're gonna say it, or do you want me to say it? I was my question anyway.
Do you have a rule for type of brain breaks we should use with different age groups, like for pre-primary, elementary, and high school, or even university?
Believe it or not, I don't have a rule, and I have seen how things that you think are only for kindergarten students, adolescents love it. So no, I don't have a rule. Maybe I would think of a rule when it comes to adolescents. I wouldn't insist on having brain breaks that are very kind of, how do you feel? Because if you haven't been practicing this in primary and in pre-kinder, you can't start overnight asking students, how do you feel, and expecting them to answer. So, brain breaks that are more related to how people are feeling are things you have to start practicing when they are younger. But you could try with, I tried the one of Shakespeare with the adolescents, because you're not directly asking them, how do you feel? You're asking them to, in a humorous way, to compare themselves to something else. It's like when you use puppets with kindergarten and the kid says, the puppet is angry, not me, you see? So it's the same thing. But I would go with adolescents, I would go more with movement things, and also maybe not as far as the just dance thing, because adolescents will be very embarrassed to move in public. So I would think about the chronological age and to think about how they would feel if you suddenly ask them to dance. But adolescents would love the alphabet game, for example. Although they know how to spell, they would love to be doing this and naming the letters. You could also tell them, not the hands, but put up a knee. So they have to do it standing up, whatever. But the rule of thumb is everybody enjoys moving. Everybody enjoys, the picture of the 3 ladies in the friend's room. It's not that because I am young, I need to do Simon Says, and because I am old, I need to do something else. No.
Okay, great. And like the images that we had in the beginning of the presentation, where it shows like how kids are acting in online lessons for like young kids, and then also the like adolescents, as you said, it's harder to engage them because they're less likely to act like a fool in front of the other peers. So what
Yeah.
kind of other recommendations do you have for those situations, like the older students and even the university students? How do you brain break with them?
I think that the first thing you need to do with older students before you do anything is work on your relationship with them. Nothing is going to happen if there isn't a meaningful relationship. Okay, so if there is a meaningful relationship, then they will dare turn on the camera, and then they will go along with you because they don't want to let you down. So the way you do that is you communicate with them at least once a week, and hey, how are you doing? And don't talk about school, you talk about anything else. So if kids feel close to you, then they will even dare to do the dancing of the Just Dance thing. So the first thing with adolescents is work on the relationship, and the rest kind of comes along. But also you have to find excuses for them to turn on the camera. I found out that having the this thing of writing down stuff and then asking them to show it is one way of turning on the camera. So they have either, how do you call this? La A4 that they can write on and then they can erase, or a board and they show the board and then you move on. They like that too.
Yeah, that's a little bit easier for them because then they don't have to actually open up their mic.
They don't have to talk. They don't have to open their mouth. They just do this. Exactly.
Silent.
Yeah.
Right. Any other questions?
Some teachers are asking for the presentation, and just remember that this recording will be available in our webpage, that it was shared in the chat.
Yes, thank you. And I read somebody, another genius teacher said bonding. This is what I meant when I couldn't get the word, didn't come up.
Exactly.
But exactly when I say, when I'm in relationships, it's exactly that. It's bonding. And when you bond, I always explain everything from the neurological point of view. When you bond with your student, what you're doing is you're releasing oxytocin. Oxytocin is the hormone of bonding. And it means that you are kind of, I don't know, stuck to the other person by a chemical. And it is very, very important. So it's not a waste of time. It's exactly the opposite. The time you invest in bonding is what is going to make the content part go faster.
Okay. And there was one little question that I saw in the chat.
Yeah, and I'm sorry I forgot this. I have no trouble in sending you the PDF, as I did before, the PDF of the talk. So you can have the recording and the PDF.
Yeah, we'll put that on the same link that we shared.
Great.
Everyone can get that from there. There was another question asked about the time, how long a brain break should be.
Fantastic question. Yes, fantastic question. I never said the time. It shouldn't last more than 5 minutes.
Okay.
Because what happens, I tried it, this is why I know. If it's longer than 5 minutes, then you need a brain break for the brain break, because you're tired of the brain break. So it should be 2 minutes, 3 minutes. It's just to cue you up for the next bit of instruction.
Okay, great.
There's another comment in here that says, Victoria says, when one starts a Zoom class, there's always a gap until students join. What to do with them, what to do in that space, for example?
Tremendous. Yeah, very good question. I would play music, of course. I would have people, this is also a very welcoming thing to do, because if kids are, you know, kind of plugging themselves in and they already start listening to music, that's so much better than a silent room. It's creepy. The silent room is creepy. So I would start by playing music. And you could have a conversation going with the people who are there already. And you could have the, okay, guys, would you like to share some good news with me? Something that happened from the last time I saw you. Or something else that is interesting is, who can start a sentence, who can finish a sentence that starts with, something I learned is blah, blah, blah. Or, did you know that, and maybe, you know, come up with something that people are not expecting. Did you know that the male brain has 1 million neurons more than the female brain? So you have people thinking while others are, you know, tuning in, maybe with something that brings in curiosity. And the people who start coming in notice that they're having a great time. So maybe next time they won't be late.
Yeah, exactly.
But music always does it for me. Music or images. People could start getting into the room and you are playing, you're putting in images of fun stuff or clouds or whatever. I wouldn't leave the room in silence, never, ever.
Any other questions? Do karaoke?
Claro, Paula says they sometimes ask me to play a special song. This is, thank you, Paula. This is beautiful when you have your song. You know, like the teacher and the students can have their own special song that they play every time they're going to learn something new, or their own special song when they are doing written stuff and it plays in the background, so they could have their own playlist. This is like rituals. Rituals are necessary, said the little prince. And it's beautiful that the teacher has these rituals with third grade, but the rituals with fourth grade are others, you know, so it also has to do with bonding.
Excellent. And I didn't see any other specific questions. Felipe, did you see any?
No other questions from here.
All right. Well, we'd like to thank you, Lucrecia, for coming back and sharing all of your knowledge with the people who were able to attend today. And as we said before, we're going to upload that to our website. The link was in the chat box, and obviously we'll share it through the email to thank everyone for coming. And if you have any other doubts or questions, please let us know, and we'll be ready to answer whatever we can. In 2 weeks, we're going to have another presenter. What's the name of the presenter?
Larry Mejias. Larry Mejias, October 22nd. It's going to be with us.
And then Stephen Krashen in the 5th of this November, we're going to have Stephen Krashen. So be looking forward to more webinars live from Inglesa.
You can also register in our webpage for the next webinars.
Definitely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Felipe, Casey, and thank you everybody for being on the other side of the square. Bye-bye.